Welcome to Brett's blog. This is the fourth and final video in my Truth in the Justice System series, and also the end of this foundational series that I've tried to give, which is just some basics about me and the experiences that I had and some of the issues that I thought were important to lay down rather quickly. It's a bit serious. It's going to get serious real quick, and I hope you'll be patient with me. So again, let me welcome you to Brett's blog. I hope you've taken a look around Writing for Freedom and checked out our purpose page and numerous other pages and links on the site, including the 825 days page. And I'm confident by this point you have a good idea who I am and why I'm doing this. So with that, let me move on to this post. You see, folks, it seems to me that that truth, what the truth is in life. Have you ever heard the expression that history is written by the victors? I went through college. I took a couple of extra history classes because they filled requirements and they were very interesting. But I had a whole new look at history when I read Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States. And I hope that a lot of you can relate with that. If you can't, then by all means, if you like to read, please get a copy of that book and check it out. But what I'm about to explain to you, I hope and I think, may do for your worldview of the criminal justice system and truth in the justice system what Howard Zinn's book did for me in regards to history, in particular American history. It's just an unfortunate fact that truth plays only a marginal role in the criminal justice system, and even worse, or maybe not worse, but even more dramatically sometimes in our civil justice system, which I think is just as broken. And that's too bad. And one of the things that scared me when I was sitting in prison, when I was imprisoned, both in a foreign prison and an American jail. They're all prisons, by the way. From the perspective of anybody who's been locked up, they're all prisons. Why we feel the need to name them something different doesn't make a lot of sense. But when I was in prison for 825 days for a crime that never happened, one of my biggest fears, aside from the very real possibility that an injustice might occur and I might end up sitting in prison for something that never happened, was that I might end up sitting in prison for something that never happened under false premise, under lies and manipulation and falsehoods. A human can endure a lot of things. And if I had had to go to prison, I would have gone, with my head held high, and I would have done the best I could to survive, based on my values and what I had to do. But sitting in my little 6-foot by 10-foot cell day after day after day, often 23 hours a day, sometimes days in a row, sometimes not that much, but the general policy was 23 hours a day. In general population, I wasn't in the hole or in shoe. That was the general population program. I just sat there and I told my lawyers, and I just said, oh my gosh, no matter what happens, I want the truth to come out in the trial. And one of the ways that the truth can come out, whether it's recognized or not, is for the defendant to take the stand. And I know that a lot of you sitting there at home are saying, well, hell yeah, if I was innocent of a crime, I'd take the stand. And I felt the same way. And for 26 of my 27 months of incarceration, or whatever it was exactly, I had every intention of taking the stand. And the jail recordings will confirm that, and that was not gamesmanship, that was a fact. I had every intention. I told my lawyer, you're going to put me on the stand and you're going to question me down these lines right here, and to hell with the DA's intentions. I'm going to tell the truth whatever happens. Now, I was talked out of that right at the 11th hour for very good reason, and the best reason, in short, is because in America's criminal justice system, they don't have much appreciation for the defendant taking the stand, in fact, and it can hurt you much more than it can help you because, well, the narrative just doesn't work out the way you think of it in your mind, and the DAs have a bunch of games they can play to interrupt and break it up. But there are many other reasons too, and I'm not going to get into that here. I do have a post planned for the future where I'm going to talk about it because it's a critically important issue. But the fact is that it's usually not in the interest of the defendant to take the stand in a criminal trial for reasons other than truth or justice. Well, ultimately it has to do with justice, but it has nothing to do with truth. It has to do with strategy and so forth. In our case, we had a great set of facts. We had the truth. There was no crime, and through the course of the trial, we proved that. So by the time I had to make the decision, I was comfortable with it. But I was not comfortable with it for years leading up to that point. And because I wanted the truth out. People that are telling the truth and that are innocent want the truth out. District attorneys want to win. They want a gold star on the chart next to the case so they can brag and get more funding and get reelected, and they don't ever want to lose. To hell with the truth. Many of them, not all. And so that was a significant issue for me. And so as I sat in my cell studying, following my lawyer's direction, praying, planning, and reading, I thought, how could I get how would I ever have the credibility to say what I have to say and it be recognized as the truth? And you know what? Lo and behold, at the end of my frustration, using the Marin County Free Law Library and making request after request to read documents, it finally occurred to me how people hearing my story could have a high level of truth, a high level of confidence, if not a certainty, an absolute certainty that I'm telling the truth. When someone takes an oath, do you assume that they're telling the truth? I think that the oath in American justice is one of the most overrated parts of the process that exists. I personally watched otherwise upstanding, credible citizens take the oath on the stand and proceed to perjure themselves blindly in an effort to put me in prison to protect them from having to take responsibility for decisions they made and actions that they took. Shameful, scandalous perjury. And it became my view that, people who tell the truth don't need to swear an oath, right? They could take the stand and you're going to hear the truth from them no matter what. And people that lie are going to lie no matter what. They have no respect for taking an oath. They could stand up on the stand and take the oath and lie right through their teeth. I watched it. Fortunately, in my case, we have a track record of proving several of them did that. But I know for a fact from personal experience that more than just a few did. Probably half a dozen, in fact, maybe more than that. And so with that, as I was researching and thinking, people can lie. There's nothing binding somebody to honor their oath to tell the truth or to tell the truth regardless. So how can viewers, how can people looking at a story on a shelf or on a TV program or on a website like this know that what they're hearing is the truth? And you know what I discovered when I was pulling documents from the Marin County Free Law Library was the age-old, it's not ages old, but it's been around for a long time, and that is the polygraph system. Polygraphs take a lot of heat, and the typical position is that polygraphs, you cannot force a polygraph to be used in trial. My entire worldview was that polygraphs couldn't be used in trial. It's just from watching TV and movies, oh no, they're unreliable, right? Polygraphs can't be used in trials. That's not true. At least it's not true in California. At least it's not true according to the Marin County Free Law Library. If both the defense and the prosecution stipulate to the use of a polygraph results can be used in a trial. It's just that most defendants, because I believe, unfortunately, but I think it's the truth, most defendants are guilty. They don't want to take a polygraph because they're trying to save their ass. And I guess that's as it should be for them. So polygraphs certainly should not be compulsory. But why not use them more? Because they're not reliable? No, that's not true. The U.S. military uses polygraphs. The FBI uses polygraphs. I know numerous law enforcement agencies that use polygraphs. I'll bet you almost every law enforcement agency in the country uses polygraph tests. I know big corporations use polygraph tests. Some nonprofits use polygraph tests. Polygraphs are very reliable. They do end up with outlying questions from time to time. And that's noted sometimes by critics as evidence that they are not reliable. But over a body of questions, polygraph tests are very reliable. They can be used, they are used widely for many purposes, from job qualifications to rooting out spies and other very serious things and whatnot. So I thought when I was sitting in my jail cell that I would take the stand and challenge the DA to a polygraph test. Now, in retrospect, I didn't take the stand, and thank God I didn't have to. But coming to this point in this blog, before I get into, on the other side of the site, the 825 days side of the site, I've just now finished the introduction. I've not begun the book yet. And so I thought, what better way to focus our attention on the book and remove and strip away any doubt about the story going forward. I've affirmed it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. What I've written and what I have to say is the truth. Nobody can credibly challenge that it's the truth. But a small select group actually, but quite a few people with credibility, wealth, influence, and connections they're probably slithering over to that back room in the back of Marin Joe's even as we speak, and trying to determine what means they can use to try to discredit me further or stop me from telling the truth, up to and including even very nefarious ideas that have come out in the past. And so I came up with this solution in jail several years ago, waiting to go to trial, and I thought that now was the time to unpack it. So what is my offer? My offer is this. I make a polygraph challenge. I challenge the following people. I challenge Pat Guasco, former director of the Ross Valley Sanitary District. I challenge Marcia Johnson, former director of the Ross Valley Sanitary District. I challenge Steve Vanny, former director of the Ross Valley Sanitary District. I challenge Frank Edgar, former director of the Ross Valley Sanitary District. I challenge Sue Brown, former director of the Ross Valley Sanitary District. And I challenge Jason Dow, presumably still the manager of the Central Marin Sanitation Agency. And I challenge Jack Govey, the Marin County Council, a government employee, and also the acting legal representative of the Central Marin Sanitation Agency. And I challenge Ed Barbarian, the district attorney to Marin County. I challenge all of you to a polygraph. And these are the terms of the polygraph. Number one, it has to be conducted by somebody with no business, no financial holdings, no personal relationships, and no property ownership in Marin County. Okay? The polygraph must take place in under 60 days from your acceptance of my offer. In terms of the polygraph, I will ask each of you 8 questions. That's it. 8 questions. You may get together and ask me as many questions as you like. I don't care. You want to ask me 100 questions? Ask me 100 questions. Doesn't matter. The only limitations are that the questions for the polygraph must be confined to our business relationship in terms of me being hired by the Ross Valley Sanitary District in 2008 and being acquitted in Marin County Court in October of 2015, and our business relationships. No personal questions. This is not about our personal lives. This is not an opportunity to air out laundry. This is a real bona fide polygraph offer. If you accept, then we have 60 days to do the polygraph. And well, there are no ifs because I'm not going to lose. But if I lose, I will strip everything off of my site and post a global apology to each and every one of you and everyone else. And I will pay to keep that up for 1 year, admitting that I lost the polygraph. If you lose the polygraph, then I expect you to be quiet and sit there in Marin County and mind your own damn business and let me tell my story finally after all this time. That's my challenge. This is a challenge to truth. You ruined my life. You ruined my career. You wrongfully imprisoned me for a crime that never happened. And now I'm sure that you are looking for a way to somehow stop me from telling my story now. So let's get it out there. There you go. Brett's Polygraph Challenge. Let's find out what the truth is. What do you say? Let's show America the truth. Let's show the world the truth. Let's stop all this pretense and gamesmanship and rewriting history and monkeying around and using influence and side channels and back deals and secret alliances and whatever your little bullshit games are. And let's man up and do a polygraph. I'll ask you 8 questions each. You can ask me as many questions as you want, and we'll see who